right, good morning, everyone. We got lots to cover. By the way, this is the VIP pre-market prep for our VIP members. Our VIP members get to see this in real time. This will be published to social media at 4 p.m. All right, got a lot of news to cover, and then we're going to go into a special extended session with a guest, Tony from our community on Lake Resources, LLKKF. We'll touch on it briefly just up front, and then we'll get into that extended session. So first, listen, the chop continues. I don't have much to say on the macro this morning. I've talked about the macro for a long time, every single morning. So you can see what we're doing here with Q, SPY, ARK, Bitcoin, oil. Those are all the ones we monitor. All right, let's get to some company-specific news, and then we'll get into Lilac. So first, Occidental Petroleum, OXY. We have some news here. Warren Buffett's Berkshire purchases another 9.5 million shares, 9.6 million shares of Occidental Petroleum. So you can see that stock is up 3.35%. You can see where the stock is in relation to the 50 and 20-day moving averages. And I don't know, you can decide for yourself if you missed that first run up. And here's Warren Buffett getting in again. So perhaps there's a chance to get in and join in some upside if Warren Buffett is right on this big oil company. All right. A couple other things going on. SIGA, monkeypox stock. They got an order this morning, $13 million for oral tecovirimet. That's TPOXX. This is going to be used for monkeypox treatment. So you can see SIGA has been very strong lately, and now you get this gap up this morning. So I don't have any advice on how to trade that, but there's the news. And you can see GOVX, which is a sympathy play off of SIGA, is also doing really well lately, last few days. By the way, there was an insider buy, a small one, 10,000 shares, so not that significant. You can see here, Director Randall Chase acquired 10,000 shares of GOVX at $1.21. I think there was also here recently filed a prospectus to resell up to 21.4 million shares of common stocks by selling shareholders. The SIGA is definitely a much better company in this monkeypox space, but you'll see that GOVX move in sympathy with SIGA. LLKKF we'll get to in just a second in detail, but you can see here the stock has been more than cut in half in just 3 days on the CEO departure. So we have lots of information and due diligence and intelligence we've collected on why the CEO departed, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Then we got XXII. This stock has been on our watch list for a while. Polo in our community brought it to our attention, and he prompted us to look at it again yesterday. You can see it was up sharply yesterday. So the reason this was up is because Biden yesterday, let's see, there was a U.S. nicotine announcement. Here it is. It says the Biden administration has some sort of plan. I don't know the details of the plan, but they want to remove most of nicotine from cigarettes. Okay, so XXII, they have a cigarette that's already removed some 95% of nicotine out of it. You can see here on the overview, it contains 95% less nicotine than conventional tobacco and cigarettes. So this seems like an excellent catalyst for this stock, which is a $386 million stock. I know Paulo had told me he thinks this is eventually going to be bought out, perhaps sooner rather than later, now that this announcement is here. And he said, this is the announcement. So this is something the company apparently has been waiting for. They knew this was coming, and this is the major catalyst the company and the shareholders were waiting for. So this is an interesting stock to look into if you want to play that news coming out of the administration. Revlon, that's a meme stock at this point. Stock goes bankrupt and it goes up 8 times. So we're just watching that for kicks, entertainment. I'm not playing it, not touching it. Kodak has held most of its gains. Well, pulled back a little bit. Oops. 200 DMA. So let's see if it can reclaim that 200 DMA. It tends to move with the market. Also tends to go up on when the market's down. So this has been a pretty solid stock. But with the market up today, I'm thinking there's a good chance we can and something seems to be going on there. We've talked about it. We've collaborated with that deeply in the Kodak research room. And then we're just monitoring, obviously, Dario, CFEI, which I think is a good risk reward here at $10 because it can't really go lower pre-deal. That's a spec, merging with Rumble. Then we have CERN, which I'm still holding, waiting for a pop. It's in here holding support at the 20 DMA. It had that good news where it's selling a part of its business for $10 million with a market cap of $16 million. And the remaining part of its business, the cybersecurity ransomware stuff, is like the exciting growing part of the business. So to me, this is something that it's just a seed I planted. I'm waiting for the next pop. And I think that will work out, but who knows? I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. VTSI, I continue to hold this long-term position. Also added trading shares. Surprised, really surprised. It hasn't gotten picked up by traders yet on the CNN spot, but that's another one where planted a seed. And in addition, obviously, I have my long-term shares because I like this company long-term. I think it's cheap, and I think it's recession resistant, but 200-week moving average, grab some trading shares at 476. So not working out yet, the trading shares, but I believe that will eventually get picked up by traders and see a nice spike on the wonderful segment on CNN. That's a virtual reality police training company there on VTSI. And that's it. Monitoring a bunch of other things. You can see what we're monitoring. Here's my watch list. Chewy has been unbelievable after it broke over the 50 DMA. So that's an interesting one there. But all right. So that is going to be it on the major overview. And at this point, what I'm going to do is stop this screen share. And we're going to go over to another screen share. Just 1 second. How am I going to get this? Let me bring in Tony first. Tony, are you there?
Yes, sir. How are you?
All right. So what I want to do is talk about LLKKF, but let me share my screen here. Which screen is sharing? Let's go. I prepared some slides here with everything we've been talking about. All right. So we'll just do it this way. Because I can't get the share. Well, now it's working. Do you see my screen? Does it say overview?
Yeah.
Is it animating?
It's yes.
Perfect. All right. So great. All right. What I want you to do, Tony, stop me anytime I make a mistake here. I put this together in like 5 minutes this morning. Okay. This is like a new company for me. I know you know this stock really, really well. We've been collaborating a lot on this yesterday because of what happened recently. We did say, the stock is down like 60%. So I'm like, oh, this may be a good opportunity. So it's a fast learning curve for me. Let me tell you what I found, what I know so far. So LKE is a ticker symbol. This is traded in Australia. It's an Australia company, but in the States here, we traded under LLKKF. It's about a $1.3 billion market cap company. This is a non-revenue producing lithium miner. All right. They aren't at that stage yet where they're producing, but they do have non-binding agreements with Ford and Hanwha for one of their major lithium properties in Argentina to sell 50,000 tons of lithium a year. And as a company, on the company level, they're targeting 100,000 tons per year. Now, we looked at another lithium miner, Livent, LTHM, and considering, because they're like, they are producing lithium miners, so taking their numbers, and of course, there's big assumptions here, but if we take their profit margins and today's selling prices, if LKE here, LLKKF, were able to actually follow through on their promises, it could equate to 500 million to $1 billion in annual profit. Now, the thing that makes this unique is this company has a technology partner in Lilac Solutions, which Bill Gates has invested in, and I'm sure, Tony, you're going to want to say a lot about that in just a second.
Yeah.
But this is why we're here. We want to talk about this. The CEO and the co-founder, Stephen Prominence, abruptly left the company and sold all of his shares, and the stock then went on to plummet 60% in 3 days. And now we have the co-founder, co-founder and chairman Stu Crow taking over. Now, did I get all of that right? Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah. The technology partner is Solutions, and Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos. They're all part of Bill
Jeff
Gates.
Bezos. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Bill Gates' part in this case comes in through Breakthrough Energies, which includes Bill Gates and the who's who of, you know, Jeff Bezos, and just listeners can look up and Google breakthrough energies and click on about, and they'll see a who's who list starting with Billy Gates. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So what we're going to talk about now, we have a ton of investigative research to share with you. Some of this stuff is not yet in the public sphere. The big question is, why did he leave? And ostensibly, it looks like the stock is crashing because there's fear that the CEO abruptly left because of either some sort of financial issue with the company or an issue with the technology. Is that, do you agree that that's the fear and that's why the stock is down so much?
Yeah. I mean, basically, yeah. But as we discuss this further, we'll discover that there's a lot more intertwined. There's a lot of things to be unearthed. But yeah, that was expected. Let's just put it that way at this stage. Yeah.
As you're alluding to, perhaps part of the reason the stock is down as well, I think it was uplisted to some bigger exchange, which allows hedge funds to now short. That may be part of it. But here for today's session, we really want to talk about this question. Is there some financial issue or a technology issue? Why did he leave? So check out all the data we put together. First here was the initial surprise announcement on June 20th by the company, where they talk about Stu Crow, I guess, serving as the CEO while they search for a new CEO, and talking about moving into the North American market. And then they say down here, as part of this transition to North America, current managing director Steve Prominence will depart after establishing Lake's dominant position in Argentina. Now, the market went into a panic over that because people love him. He's a great spokesperson. He's been at the company for many years. And it was also, I guess, reported or rumored at the time here on June 20th that he had sold all of his shares, like 10 million shares or so in the company. So that's setting up. I'm going to go through this in chronological order. Just stop me anytime if you want to add anything, Tony.
Okay.
All right. So then the next piece of information we got is from a Red Cloud report. This is the next day. Is it the next day? It is June 20th. Red Cloud is it's a paid analyst, right? So the company pays Red Cloud to cover the company. So they gave a lot of additional color behind the scenes, color of why Steve left. Now, you could take this with a grain of salt because I would assume the company called up Red Cloud or Red Cloud called them up, whatever, vice versa. But, they're paying Red Cloud. So they said, hey, this is what we want you to say, right? Probably, right? So it says in this report here that Red Cloud came to realize that Steve Prominence resigned unexpectedly on Friday. And then a third party had reported that he had also sold his entire 10.2 million share position. And then they go on to say, well, we were told that Mr. Prominence was likely destined for a new role with the company, LKE. The transition to a North American CEO had been in the works for about 6 months, and his sudden departure comes as a shock to the board. And they go on to say, we suspect this is not much more than a human resources issue, perhaps with a difference in opinion on the head office location strategy. A transition process has been underway for the last 6 months. While moving into North American markets, the board decided to transition its corporate office into North America with Argentine projects, Hatch in Toronto, Lilac in California, and an offtake with Ford. Eliminating time zone issues would help streamline the business. Lake Resources. All right, so this is the unofficial message that the company is sending through their back channel partner, Red Cloud, to tell the world what's going on. So that's what we found out on June 21st. Do you have any additional comments on that, Tony?
No, man. That's perfect. Yeah, that's basically it.
Now we wanted to dig a little deeper. So the next slide I'm going to show you is a text message conversation with Stu Crow, which is out on social media. Now, we wouldn't normally divulge text message conversations like this that were in private, but in this case, it was already on social media. It's a little bit hard to find. But Tony was able to get that for us. So thank you, Tony, for being able to get this for us. So this is a message from Stu Crow to somebody. Why don't you go through this, Tony? Walk us through this text message since you found that screenshot for us.
Sure. I basically picked this up from StockTwits. Somebody shared this, and then I went back to it, and they apparently deleted it because I'm assuming they felt for this, out of courtesy to Stu. But as you mentioned, Ben, this was and is an expression on social media, and he chose to exchange, and that person obviously chose to put this up. Uh, Maybe they took it down, personal reasons, but we feel that what's said here is pretty general info that coming from the CEO can add a bit of light to what basically everybody is understanding now. So I can quickly read it through. You want me to read it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. It says thank you. It says fingers crossed, and then congratulations, Stu. Best of luck. And then thank you. It's been a very disappointing week. The move to the U.S. and recruitment of seriously high caliber personnel is very exciting. Hopefully we can announce new people in coming weeks subject to notice periods, etc. But I've been humbled by the quality of the applicant while being a wealth of experience in delivering large projects and managing large companies. Hopefully I can shed some reality to the situation over a number of interviews and webinars in coming days to deliver some sense and calm, as my view is we have overshot on fear and panic created by hedge funds shorting the company and preying as they do on less savvy retail investors. Thanks for your message. It is very much appreciated. Kind regards, Stu. Thumbs up.
I know you've also told us about the webinar here. First to the webinar, you brought to us our attention a webinar tonight. Is that right?
Yeah, it's happening 7:30 Pacific time, 10:30 East Coast, 12:30 p.m. in Australia, Aussie time. Yeah.
Okay, so that'll be an opportunity for Stu to get this message out. What's your takeaway from this message that was sent here?
It's just Stu being Stu. He's a really nice, laid back, chill guy, not pretentious at all. Just, yeah, he's, in all honesty, just there's no fundamental changes as far as what the company has been able to achieve and accomplish. I mean, being listed on on a very reputable ETF on the ASX is no small feat. And as we discuss this further as to Steve's decision on leaving on specific strategic dates, but yeah, this is just Stu being Stu. He's shown this character all throughout. He's been consistent. He's not pretentious. He's not, saying anything overtly espousing in anger or nothing like that. Just be cool, level-headed. Yeah.
All right. So until now, what we've showed you is basically the official and unofficial company responses, right? So that would not exclude necessarily any, any bad outcomes. Like why did he leave? We don't know. We know the perspective from the company, but now we're going to show you a couple screenshots, piece of information from Steven's perspective, the guy who actually left. So this is going to go a long way towards assessing that fear, right? Is he leaving because of a financial issue with the company or a concern about the technology that they're using? So a couple things that came out. This is an official statement by Steve for this publication, Financial Review, that came out today. I think it's behind a paywall, so it may not be easy to find it. You also found this for us, Tony. So why don't you walk us through this this article here?
Well, this was posted by, I believe, a fellow shareholder that was really kind enough to post it and got screen grabs from behind the paywall and posted it on Twitter. And then somebody got the first page, put it on StockTwits. But anyways, yeah, I got the 4-page article, and basically, as you can see, the last section. Let me pull up the grabs myself here real quick because there's a little screen thing here that's blocking.
While we do that, I'll tell you the next
Yeah.
stage after Tony's done with this,
Mhm.
we're going to share with you some information we got from a mutual contact I have. Somebody I know who knows
Yeah.
Steve personally and had a conversation with Steve. We're going to tell you what was said there. That's going to be very
That's
interesting.
cool.
Coming right up.
Yeah, that was awesome. Give me 1 second. Hold on. Okay, I got it. All right. So, yeah, that first one, it says the underline, this investor was kind enough to just underline it quickly with the little red there.
Yep, right there.
It says, but Mr. Palmet said he was shocked. So let's start from the top. It says, in late Thursday afternoon announcement, Lake Resources said Mr. Palmet's resignation was of his own volition and reassured shareholders that nothing has changed regarding the company's desire to progress its lithium projects in Argentina. Now we go to Steve's perspective. But Mr. Palmet said he was shocked when the board told him on May 31st, several months ago, that it wanted his help to transition the company to a new CEO. His position became untenable. So check this out. It says, so he tendered his resignation on June 17th, he said in a statement. So in the next one, I mean, it's coming from his own mouth. He wasn't told to leave. He was basically asked to assist. And if we look at further information from Lake, Steve was being basically groomed to take an executive board position, not leave the company. He decided to do what he did out of his own volition because from what you can see here, his words, it was untenable. So, I mean, the definition of that, man, untenable. What's something that's untenable? What is that? Untenable to you?
Just something he couldn't accept, basically.
Yeah, not to be maintained or defended.
Can't live with.
The definitions here is not able to be maintained or defended against attack or objection. So basically, he was not able to be CEO. That was the reason why he left. He wanted to keep grasp of the CEO position. And because that became untenable, then it says here, so he tendered his resignation June 17th, he said in a statement. Now, did the board expect him to leave the way he did? Maybe he resigned, but maybe they thought he'd stick around as a board member, right? But yeah, I don't know. I mean,
and I got to move it along quick because the market's about to open. But also here he said regarding the stock sales, he says it was common and standard practice for exiting CEOs to immediately sell their stock positions, regardless of what they think about the company and its assets. And I know you have a theory possibly that he may just be able to buy back much lower. He doesn't need to report anymore since it's not part of the company, his transaction. So, but let's move on and get to some of the juicy stuff here. First of all, there's also a statement out today from the company, just again reiterating here what happened of the timing of the resignation was of his own volition, and they got that resignation over the weekend and informed the market on Monday. But this is all the public statements. What is Steve saying privately? So I have a contact here.
Oh, real quick before we go to that, that's really cool. But that second page, can we go back the first two pages? Yeah. Now check it out. Now that last section is really important. It says here, The share market index is considered by the corporate regulator as one of the market benchmarks of potential systematic importance. The ASX said intro, remember that. Now, he says he still clearly believes in the company's future, having positioned it well. Check it out. Well for construction and production.
I'm glad you pointed that out. That's definitely very important. All right, so great catch there on that one. So I'm about to. There's a screenshot. I can't show you the details because for privacy reasons, the private information we have from someone who knows Steve. But there's a conversation I was having, and you can see that's all Steve told me. So what do you tell him? If you're a VIP member, you get to see this in our private community. But basically, Steve told my contact that he was forced out. So that's very interesting, you know, how he, and I take this to be his ruling towards the situation. What's said privately and what's said publicly slightly different. So when he says he's forced out, that again speaks to it's untenable, right? It's
right.
So he wasn't fired, but the situation was so that he felt he was forced out. For him, he considered it something that was untenable, a red line, that he has to leave the company. So take all of that into consideration now, and we to ask that question again. So why did he leave, right? And I think personally that worst case scenario, that fear that's in the market now, because if it's a financial issue, an issue with the technology, we've heard both from the company and also from Steve leaving, public comments, private comments, and I see no sign whatsoever that this is a financial issue with the company or an issue with the technology. Is that your takeaway as well?
Of course. There's that zero to do, and it has everything to do with his pride. That's the only thing that was injured here, not the company fundamentals, not anything. I mean, for crying out loud, Ben, as we discussed, this week was the intro of the ASX 200. It got accepted into a reputable ETF, and it was going to start being bit. All these large, institutions were having to purchase, would have to purchase, just like Tesla getting into NASDAQ.
So, what's that mean for the stock?
And that's when he decided to leave. Well, to me, it means that when this brushes over, this is gonna. People are gonna realize what really happened, and people are just gonna buy back. I mean, that's just what's gonna happen.
Okay, so let me give you my view here. The technicals, it's story trading. We look at technicals and sentiment. You can see the market's opening right now at 50 by 53 cents. So matching the move it did in Australia overnight, around 50 cents here. So tonight, again, we're going to have that 10:30 p.m. webinar where it's a chance to get maybe some more of this out and clarified to the market. Looking at the technicals here, it broke below the 200-week moving average, 200-day moving average, which is clearly a support line. It's an important line that technical traders look at. I think there's a possibility this can quickly go back and challenge now that that's resistance at 80 cents. So it's a possible. Okay, we could be wrong, but it's possible you can get this stock at 48 to 50 cents, and within a few days, once this is cleared up, it could be 80 cents. It could be, but I find it hard to believe it's going to go all the way back to 1 or 109, because part of what I think is, we talk about sentiment too. One of the 4 pillars of story trading, right? And I think this whole big entire move up here was also sentiment related and not necessarily a reflection of the true value of the company at this time, right? There's still risk here. There's still time here that has to happen for these mines to start producing. These are non-binding agreements with Ford and Hanwha. So why did it get all the way to these levels? I think a lot of it had to do with the sentiment that people really liked Steve, and he was a great presenter. And that's worth value. That's worth, extra points in the stock market. So I don't think it's automatically just going to go back to like 1 or 120 like that in a snap of the fingers. Personally, I don't. I know long term, you may believe that, Tony. And if they're successful, this is probably going to be a $3, $4, $5 stock or more if they're successful longer term.
Yeah.
But as far as a trade here, it's story trading. I think the reasonable target more so is what we see as resistance now, which is around 80 cents at the 200-day moving average. You want to add any thoughts to that, Tony?
No. I think you're right. I mean, except that now that it's evolved as to who Steve Prominence truly was, it's a big bonus that he's not part of the Lake team anymore, and that is actually bullish for us. We don't need.
I've
Yeah,
heard that commentary actually, that the guy who really knows how to run the company is Stu, and Steve was just a great spokesperson, but really potentially was not suited for production and scale. Right? Basically, he served his purpose, doing
yeah,
really well, marketing the stock, getting the great financial deals that they got, getting the strong investor base, but he isn't necessarily the right CEO for now the functional part of scaling the business. I've heard that from multiple sources as well.
yeah, yeah. No, it's true. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you got a 24-hour time difference. You got Ford there sitting waiting, and you got one of the largest. Lake Resources has one of the largest in Argentina tenements of lithium lease, with a large portion of that being 100% fully owned. And this was back, I believe, years ago, like years and years ago, where when lithium wasn't all the rage, but they had the foresight to purchase those tenements and have them. And now those are skyrocketed in value, and Ford is all about going vertical. I And who are they MOUing with? None other than Ford. So I wouldn't. And the Ford CEO is born in Argentina. I mean, I just
All right.
Anyways,
Well,
yeah,
there you have it, Tony. Thanks for joining us. You can see the stock is down here 21%. I'm not a financial advisor, but potentially this is a great entry point with the webinar tonight. It's going to be
yeah,
tonight,
yeah.
and hopefully they say what they need to say to calm the markets, and we'll be up a great big percentage tomorrow. That's what I'm hoping for. 46 by 47 cents. Thank you so much, Tony, for all of your hard work and collaboration on this story in the community.
Absolutely, man. Pleasure and it's an honor. Thank you, Ben. You put in a lot of that. I'm amazed at what you what you're able to pull out and do as well. You're to be highly commended too.
Thank you, Tony, so much. We'll continue collaborating in the VIP community, and we're going to make this presentation available on social media today to get the word out on the opportunity as well. Thank you, Tony.
You got it, brother. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Okay.